How could a Russian spy live in New York City, build relationships, and move through American society without most people knowing who she really was? How did the FBI discover that the woman living an ordinary-looking life was secretly working for Russia? And what happened when she finally walked into a meeting with a stranger without realizing that she was stepping into an FBI operation? In 2010, those questions became part of one of the most unusual espionage cases in modern American history. This is the story of Anna Chapman, and if you enjoy real stories about spies, mysteries, and hidden events from history, make sure to subscribe to the channel and follow our Facebook page, because the deeper we go into this story, the stranger it becomes. To understand what happened, we have to go back before the FBI knew her name. Anna Chapman was born Anna Kushchenko in the Soviet Union in 1982. Her father was a Russian diplomat, and she later spent time in Britain, where she married a British man. Eventually, her life took her to the United States. In 2009, Chapman moved to Manhattan. To the people around her, she appeared to be a young businesswoman working in real estate. She lived in New York, built social and professional connections, and appeared to be living an ordinary modern life. But behind that life was another identity. According to the FBI and U.S. Justice Department, Chapman was an agent of the Russian Federation. She was part of a network commonly described as Russian intelligence illegals. These were not traditional spies operating openly from an embassy. They lived under ordinary identities and tried to blend in to the societies around them. And that created a very different kind of espionage. They didn't necessarily need secret military buildings or dramatic nighttime meetings. Sometimes the most valuable cover was simply looking like an ordinary person. But if Chapman was living an ordinary life, what was she actually doing? The FBI investigation eventually uncovered evidence that Chapman was communicating with Russian intelligence. One important piece of evidence was her laptop. The FBI says Chapman used it to create a private wireless network for communicating with a Russian government official. Investigators also observed her using this method repeatedly. By then, the FBI wasn't guessing, they were watching. The investigation had been developing for years, and Chapman was only part of a much larger network. Then came June 2010. The FBI decided to make a move. On June 26, 2010, Chapman went to a meeting in New York. She believed she was meeting someone connected to Russian intelligence, but the person sitting across from her was actually an undercover FBI agent. The FBI later released surveillance footage from the operation, and this is where the story feels almost like a movie. There was no dramatic chase through Manhattan, no gunfight, just a meeting between two people in an ordinary city environment. But one of them was secretly working for the FBI. The undercover agent approached Chapman with a task designed to test her cooperation. According to the federal case records, Chapman agreed to help. The meeting gave investigators another important piece of evidence about her role in the Russian network. And then, the next day, everything changed. On June 27, 2010, the FBI arrested Chapman and other members of the network. But there was a bigger surprise. Anna Chapman wasn't alone. In total, 10 Russian intelligence operatives were arrested in the United States. They had been living under ordinary identities in different parts of the country. Some had families, some had careers. Some had spent years building apparently normal lives. The FBI called the investigation Operation Ghost Stories, and suddenly the United States was looking at a Russian intelligence network operating inside American society. The case became an international story. But then came an unexpected decision. Instead of sending the spies to prison for years, the United States and Russia reached an extraordinary agreement.
On July 8, 2010, the 10 defendants pleaded guilty to conspiring to act as unlawful agents of a foreign government. Then they were removed from the United States and transferred to Russian custody. Why? Because Russia agreed to release 4 people imprisoned there for alleged contacts with Western intelligence agencies. In other words, the spies became part of a U.S.-Russia spy exchange. Anna Chapman, who only weeks earlier had been living in Manhattan, was suddenly on her way back to Russia. But what happened next may be one of the strangest parts of the entire story. In America, she had become known as a Russian spy. In Russia, she became a public figure. She appeared in the media and built a new public identity after returning home. The woman who had been exposed by the FBI was no longer living quietly in New York. Now she was famous. And this brings us to the bigger question. Was Anna Chapman really some kind of master spy? The evidence gives us a more complicated picture. She was a confirmed member of a Russian intelligence network. She admitted in court that she was an agent of the Russian Federation. The FBI documented her communications and meetings, and the United States ultimately expelled her as part of the 2010 spy exchange. But the real significance of her story isn't that she was some real-life James Bond. It's that an intelligence network could live quietly inside the United States while its members appeared to be ordinary people. That is what made the case so unusual. The spies weren't hiding from America. They were living inside it. And perhaps the most unsettling question isn't how Anna Chapman was caught. It's this. If 10 Russian agents could live ordinary lives in America while secretly working for a foreign intelligence service, how many other secrets can remain hidden in plain sight?